You are listening to the Profitable Content Creator Podcast. This is the place where content creators come to learn how to create profitable content that positions themselves as an authority and grows their online businesses. Get ready to take your content to a whole new level with your host, Kristen Poborsky.
Well, I'm excited today to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, and that is using templates for content creation. You see, I've been creating content for 8+ years now, not only for myself, but for my clients. And with the help of my team, we probably process couple thousand pieces of content a year. And we've discovered the power of using templates to help us create more content and to create better content. So today I'm going to share with you a couple of things. One, how those templates will save you time when it comes to content creation, how it ensures consistency, and the biggest benefit that I find is it just gives you more freedom, makes it easier, okay? So, and then you're going to want to stay till the end because I'm going to answer 2 more questions as it relates to creating content and using a script, because that's one of the templates that I use. Is I'm going to cover what you want to include when scripting out a video, okay? And then again, I use a template for that too. And my last question I'm going to answer today, since we're on the topic of templates and saving time and making life easier, I'm going to answer the question of how many videos can I create in a single sitting? And this is where the power of having a template comes into play. So I'm going to explain kind of how that also relates to today's topic, okay? But for now, for those of you who do not know who I am, I'm just going to give you a quick intro. I am Kristen Poborsky. I am an expert content creator. I have been creating content for myself and my clients since 2014. And today I help my clients and my students who are healers, coaches, and course creators dial in their content and create content that helps them build their audience, gets them leads, and helps them turn them into paying customers. And I discovered the power of content creation way back in 2014 when I was a struggling virtual assistant. Now, I had a great business, but I was still struggling because I was working my fingers to the bone. I was getting emails, do this, do that, do this, do that from my clients. It was driving me crazy. So much so from them, I couldn't even go on vacation without getting fired because they were so tied to telling me what to do all the time. So what I looked around and I said, what can I do to make my life easier and help my clients build their businesses? And that's when I discovered the power of content creation to help market their businesses and create demand for what they were selling, okay? So I figured that was like the first thing. And then I discovered I needed to actually turn it into a system because it was working. I tested it out for a client. Once we started creating content around topics that aligned with their business, it all took off. Well, it was still a lot of work for me, but I needed to systematize it. So not only was it easy for me, but it was easy for my clients to create content that we could repurpose and use everywhere on multiple outlets, okay? So that's when I came up with the rapid content creation system, which I teach inside my program, Smart Simple Content Marketing and Automation. And what it's done for my clients and myself is pretty amazing. Even today, the same principles that we used back in 2014, although our primary form of content these days is video and not written content, but we still use those same strategies, help keep getting thousands of views every single month. I have a client who has a huge waiting list of people who find him from his podcasts and his videos out on YouTube. And we have a simple system, which we use the 12X system, where we repurpose one piece of content into multiple pieces of content that allowed him to be on multiple platforms so that he can reach people all over the world, which he works with right now. And he has a waiting list of 6 weeks of people wanting to work with him because they come and listen to his stuff. They call him up, and every single day there's somebody new saying, I need your help. And this is just all from content creation, creating the right content and delivering at the right time for his audience. All right, so let's dive into my subject today, why templates are your friend when it comes to creating content. And this is for those of you who are still creating content by yourself. You don't have a team. This is what's going to give you freedom and help, okay? So really having a template, whether it is for your script, which I have a template right here, took me 20 minutes or less to write up a simple script for each one of my videos, okay? I sat down, I think I can do at least 6 to 10 videos, the script, because I use a template, in 2 hours. And having that simple template or script is so simple. When I go down to actually film, which I'm doing right now, I don't have to read it because I use the same template. I know the cadence. I know what I'm going to say. So it comes off being that much more natural. And I position myself as the authority because I use the same kind of template. I don't say all the same words together again and again. And I don't worry about if I mess something up. So that's how I use them for my content. I do the same thing on Canva when I'm creating my images for my YouTube, for my podcast, for any of my social media pieces. I have probably about 5 or 6 different templates in my Canva, and they're all teed up in there, ready to go for me to create, or actually my team to create those pieces of content. And it really makes that process so much easier. And that leads me into my next point, is it helps create consistency. Again, the consistency makes it easier for me to film and create content quickly, but it also gives me consistency from my team because they know how to use the templates inside a Canva to create those thumbnails, the social media pieces, images for my podcast. It really cuts the time down and ensures consistency because they know what goes into each piece, and that way mistakes are much fewer and the content creation time is that much faster, okay? And again, like the biggest benefit that I find is really personally is having that script or the template for my script already done. And the more and more I use it, the faster and easier content creation becomes for me. And I'm always consistent, and I have a method that allows me to create one video and turn it into 3 pieces of content, which is brilliant, right? So that way I can sit down like I'm doing today, and I can create 6 videos. And then those 6 original videos become 18 to 24 pieces of content because I strategically answer questions in my video content and I cut those pieces out and they become other pieces of content. So you see the power of using templates in your content creation because it gives you freedom, ease, consistency and the ability to create more content if you dial in the right system. So, if you're ready to get started creating content using the same kind of systems that I'm using and content that creates demand for what you do, helps you build your audience, gets you more leads, and turns them into paying customers, I've got the Profitable Content Creators Roadmap, and I've got the link to it right down below in the show notes waiting for you. So let's dive into today's question, okay? So the first question, people want to know, what goes into creating a simple script for video? Okay, so what I usually tell them to do is have an introduction, then you have your talking points, you have an introduction of who you are, and you share your backstory in a way that it creates demand. It's called a social seeding. So it's called a seeding technique, okay? And I teach that inside of my Smart Simple Content Creation and Automation program in the messaging section. How to create desire in your content. So you want to do that all throughout your content that you create in your script, right? And we've got that all laid out in this particular script. We also teach this script inside of my content creation course. So you do that, then you dive back into what your topics are, and you really want to keep your talking points to a minimum. You don't want to get too complicated because people have a short attention span. People don't want to listen forever and ever you talking, right? Then you wrap it all up and you give a call to action. And that's what goes into creating a simple template, a video script that we use time and time again. And once you start using it over and over again, you pretty much know what the cadence is. And so it's easy to just talk to the camera, be natural, and know what to say next. So if you're ready to start creating profitable content, just like I'm doing right here, I've got the Profitable Content Creators Roadmap, and the link is right down inside the notes so that you can get started today building your audience and knowing how to turn them into leads and paying customers. Okay, let's dive into the second question before we wrap everything up today. The second question is, people want to know how many, because I use this script, a template, how many videos can I actually get done in a single sitting? All right, so it's more about the time it takes, because I really can't, I would probably in 2 hours, I could do 8 or 10, but you got to think about the energy, your voice, things like that. If you want to batch more, then I would say take a break if you want to do more, but I can generally do in a 2-hour period 6, maybe 8. But if I go beyond 6, I really need to kind of look into what my energy level is, because that'll come across in my video content. And I find too that I'll start making mistakes and things like that. So I usually just plan on 6. And if I feel like I can do more, great. And then I'll go take a break for a couple of hours, see how I feel, see if I've got more video content inside of me, and come back and do more in the same day, right? Otherwise, 6 is great because that gives me close to 24 pieces, 24 weeks, half a year's worth of content, because I do it using my template in a way that allows me to take one piece of content and cut it up into multiple pieces, all right? So that's pretty much my answer. And again, if you're just getting started, I think I started out with maybe 2 to 4 to begin with, because really when you're doing it, when you first do that first video, it may take you a little bit longer and you may flub up, right? You may feel like, oh, I've got to start over. Again, embrace those mistakes and bring them right in, because it makes you feel more human to your video, your audience. But definitely start out thinking you're going to do less. See how you feel at the end, and really try and not go longer than 2 hours when creating content, because you don't want to burn yourself out. You don't want to get frustrated. And when you start making mistakes, I would say that's the time to turn off the camera and take a break. So that's my answer to how many videos I can make. It's more about the time and how I feel, but in general, 6 to 8 pieces in a 2-hour period. So remember, if you're ready to get started creating profitable content that builds your audience lists and turn them into paying customers, I've got the Profitable Content Creators Roadmap waiting for you. The link is waiting for you right below in the notes.
You've been listening to the Profitable Content Creator Podcast, where content creators go to learn how to take their content creation to the next level. If you love the Profitable Content Creator Podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. Until next time.